All right, team, welcome back to day 6 for our Selenium live training. What we're going to do today is start with a data-driven framework. This is like a project 2 for us, and it's going to be the first session for the data-driven framework. We're going to take it easy and slow so you all have a chance to catch up. But before I do that, a quick summary of what has been covered so far as part of the videos and the summary sessions that my colleague Shankar did. I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page there. So, team, like we have said earlier, I hope you have watched the day 1 to day 5 videos as mentioned here. And in these videos, you should have got the overall idea on Selenium IDE, automation basics, and element identification. Having done that, have you got a chance to look at anything or have any of this covered between how we migrate from Selenium IDE to Selenium WebDriver? Did we do that? Have you got a chance to install Eclipse onto your system? Have you seen those and get all the jar files? Is that covered? The last two sessions that Shankar did last week were primarily a summary of what I had asked you to watch. So I'm hoping that that is done. We're going to still do it that way. Uh, but let me start with it from that direction. All right. So I'm going to open up a new document here. And we're going to call this as SLT October 2015 Data Driven Framework Project 2. All right. This is going to be the title of this document. Give me 1 second, please. All right. So what we're going to cover, team, is one, we will learn to build a data-driven framework from scratch. All right. We will identify an application under test. We'll identify certain test cases and corresponding steps to test. We will learn to work with Eclipse along with Java, JUnit, and Selenium Webdriver. All right. By end of this project, you should have a very good idea on these areas, team. You should get very comfortable with it. That is the whole intent. Now, team, while we go through, if there's anything that you feel is a question, you can continue to put it in the Q&A. But the way I will approach is I'll not keep looking at the questions every time. I will look at it every 10-15 minutes at a logical point. That way, we will go through the entire thing in a very more structured fashion. But any questions you have, you can continue to put it in the chat and I will answer them as and when we get a break on things. All right, team. Now, the first thing we have to do is definitely identify an application under test, team. That is the first thing that we have to do. And we will also build a test case based on it. Let me copy one scenario from the recent batch that will be easy for us to take as an example. Not the application itself, we'll try and do it on a different application, but just some of the concepts. Right? There you go. So this is a good document. To our document. So by end of this project, team, you will learn what a data-driven framework is, how to build it from ground up, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and what kind of application should we build a data-driven framework for. At this point, I'm not going to explain to you in a theoretical fashion what a data-driven framework is. Towards the end of this 4-5 sessions, you will get a very clear idea what it is. And then you should be able to put it in your own words and summarize it. So the remaining part of the document that you just saw, we will build it as we go along. Now, any suggestions from the team as to what application we should take to do that? I've already done it for southwest.com, so I'll not do it on that application. We'll do it on some other application. But this one is something that I could take as a sheet. Call this as SLT October 2015 Project to Data Driven Framework Plan. And I'm going to move it. So team, if you have any recommendations, take it on, and then I'll tell you what kind of decision we have to take, why we select a specific application. Okay, now this is moved to our folder. Very good. So application and a test is the first thing that we will talk about. We will talk about the domain. We'll talk about a little schedule on this project, and we're treating it like a real-time project team. The steps will continue to be the same. We have not started anything, but we will get there. The first thing is to identify the application and a test, what domain it falls under, scope, and so on, and then we'll come to looking at these steps. Let me look at the chat and see. Mortgage calculator is a good application. What are the decisions that we will take to be designing a data-driven framework for this project? So team, the idea, thoughts in identifying the application test. One is must be easy to understand. Why should the application be easy to understand? The functionality must be easy to understand. Why is it so? Because so the focus is not on the application under test, but on learning and mastering Selenium Webdriver and Java JUnit. All right, that is what we will focus on. Two, should have the elements where users can enter different sets of data and get the application to behave based on the inputs. Very simple concept team. Essentially what happens is this. I'm going to try and draw it. Let us say this box represents the application under test. Okay. A user can come and enter certain sets of input data. Let's say things like traveling from point A to point B, and the dates are first and second, and economy, and so on. Another user may come and enter point C to point D, dates are 4th and 5th, and they're looking at business class. Another user may come and enter some other information. So the same application is being used by different users for different sets of purposes, and they fill in a form which gives them different information. And finally, depending on the input that they put, they get outputs. Sometimes they will say that messages that, hey, those dates are invalid. Sometimes they'll say that no flights are available. Sometimes it must say based on the fact that, yeah, here are the best options for you. So there's an expected output that comes based on certain criteria of inputs. Similar thing for a calculator. Let us say that you're doing a loan calculator. Someone says, I want $100,000 loan. My credit history will give me a loan at 4.5%. What will be the result? Someone else will come and say, you know what, I'm buying a house. I want $1,000,000. I will only get a sanction of $700 as loan. 30% should be down. What will be the interest? What will be the mortgage insurance and so on? So that basically is one of the driving factors for us to choose the application. All right. Now let me see what I've got so far. I've got mortgage calculator, I've got bank rate. Uh, let's see this bank rate. There's an auto loan calculator. Let's look at that. Okay, so bank rate is an application. It is doing auto loan calculators, and it's got a term in years or in months, interest rate per year, auto loan start date, calculate. So, and we get the payment here. So that's good. This is a good application to try, team. If you're all good, I can take this. This was suggested by one of the members in the team itself. So let's go with this, team. I think this will be interesting. Sorry. So I'm going to take this and put it as our application under test. This is a lot of information here till here. Domain is auto loans. All right, that is the area, and we will do some basic loan calculation. That is our functionality that we will test. Today is the 9th of November. Hopefully, if all goes well, team, we should be able to complete it by 13th of November. All right, that's the schedule that we'll put together. Now, how are we going to go about building this data-driven framework? What is the concept there? The concept, team, is very simple. We're primarily saying that we will start with this following steps. Some of these steps you'll understand right away. Some of the steps it'll take a little bit more time for you to really get the idea. The first thing is we'll have to create test cases or scenarios and steps for the data-driven framework. Rather than the data-driven framework, for the application under test, I will say. Because that's what we're creating. And these are manual. As manual test engineers, how do we do it? Then we'll identify the test data required for each test step. We'll build a few sets of test data. All these are manual steps, team. Then we'll create the Selenium WebDriver code using JUnit. Identify the test data variables or parameters within it. Initialize the variables. Replace the WebDriver hard-coded data with the variables from the test data. Execute the test case for first set of test data. Observe the expected results for the set of test data. Repeat for each set of test data. That is what we're going to do. Now, the whole thing towards the end will get applied to place test data, I'll just set TD, in an Excel file and write from there and write the results back to it. Right, this is what we're going to be doing. Right now the status of each step is at 0%. We've really not done much. Now let's prepare a test case, team. So preparing the test case, I'm going to clean up all this information because we don't need them right now. This is for the different application altogether. In this application, as a standard template for any application is giving a test case ID, uniquely knowing what test case it is, the description to it, the test step. For each test case, there will be multiple steps. What is the test data that is required? Expected result, pass or fail, manual. Do you understand? Now, let me write one test case. All this will become easy. Now, this is what application is this? Let me move this into a new window. This is bankrate.com, correct? So I'll see this BR_TC001. All right, that is the abbreviation that we're giving to uniquely identify a test case. The first thing we do is, team, open the website. That's the first thing. We have to go and come to this place. Now, to open the website, do I need specific information? Yes. What do I need? I need the URL to open the website. Correct, everyone? So, oops, this is not the description. Test step will come here. Open the website. This is basic loan calculator. I hope team it's all comfortable for everyone the way we're going. If anyone feels for some reason I'm going slow or fast or you're lost about something, please let me know. We'll look at how we can help you out there. Now, what is the test data we need for this? I need the URL itself. So the URL I'm going to put here. Oops. All right. Then we will have the result as to pass or fail. Now, manual, do you understand, basically means as a manual test engineer, forget about automation for a second. Do you understand what this is? That's the whole idea, team. Now, the same test case ID and the same description, I will continue for few more steps. I don't know how many yet, but we'll look at the application, we'll figure out. Next is enter the auto loan amount. We have to enter some information here in dollars. So enter auto loan amount. Now for this the test data is some number. Let's say we want to do $23,000. Just an example. After we do that, we want to enter a loan term in years or in months. Now see, already we've got two distributed scenarios. So we'll just say that we want to enter it in years. Okay. So 23,000 and we want to enter 5 years. For example, enter term in years. Then we say 5 years for this. Next will be to enter the interest rate per year. Rate per year. Let's assume that we got a good rate and we enter 2.99. So I enter 2.99 here. And we enter a date out here. So we'll leave the date as default, whatever date it is coming for now, because we'll not try and complicate anything as of now. Now let's look at what the result is expected as. So I click on calculate and I get this value. So this is the expected one. Click on calculate. So for this, you don't need any data because you're just clicking on that calculate button. You don't need to enter any information. Then verify the payment, what that will come, and that value is going to be whatever we've got here. Finally, close the website. This doesn't have to be in red color, it can be in regular color. Close the website. So this is one scenario that we created, team. This way we may create more scenarios as we go along, but we'll stick with one and see how we can do it. Is this clear, everyone? The test scenario itself, do you all understand? Can I put a yes to them? Simple one, no complication. It's just got the necessary items in it. Now, what do we do next? We have done the manual part of it. We have put a plan out here. We said manual test cases. We've done about 50% of it, let's say. Identify the test data required also is done. Build a few sets of test data. We have not done yet, team. We will come to it. But let's go for the next one where we create the Selenium WebDriver code using JUnit. Now, how do we create the Selenium WebDriver code using JUnit? Let me put some steps here. So these are accessible for you. What I do, team, is towards end of each project, not in between. Towards the end of each project, I share these files in a zip version with you all. It will in fact be put on the website itself. You will download it and start referring. I will not send the files on a daily basis, team. There'll be a lot of confusion. I will send it at one time at the end of each project. That is when I will be sending it across. All right. Now, we will also do some negative scenarios and so on, but for now we will just focus on one scenario. So our focus is here. Okay. What am I trying to do here? How to create the uh, Java project using using Eclipse for project um, for Selenium WebDriver automation code. How do we do this? First tip is install Eclipse. Have you all gone through this as part of the tutorials that I've asked you to watch, or was it not part of it? You've gone through it, right? It's very simple. Just as a quick summary, you go to eclipse.org and click on download. Let's give this directly and download the latest version. All right. You just need Eclipse IDE. So depending on your operating system team that you can download, um, just go for Eclipse IDE for Java developers. This should be fine. All right. So I'll click on this. I think this is Mars, the latest one. I'll put it here. Download the latest version from here. Now this link will change, team. Pick the latest version. So, but this is the link that you can take if you don't already have an Eclipse platform. If you're an earlier version, that's fine. You can keep it. You don't have to really upgrade. Now, once you do that, you will see the Eclipse being there. This is Kepler, a much older version, but that's fine. I don't need to update it. It will just continue to download the required files as and when needed. All right. So once we do this, team, you have to then create open Eclipse. Oops. Open Eclipse and create a new workspace. This is very critical, team. If you don't create a new workspace, it'll be as part of some other project and you'll have a lot of confusion. It is like saying that you have 2 or 3 projects that you're working with your kids, for example. So there's an English project, there's a writing project, there is a cultural thing, and let's say there's a maths project. You're trying to put them on different tables so that they don't get mixed together. That is the whole concept, just for better execution. When these sessions are going on live, team, do not do anything. Just put your eyes and ears and focus to what I'm saying. One of the most critical points that will decide your success of learning this is to be a very good listener. That is very important. So just put everything down and put yourself as listening mode. Then after this, you can continue to do it as practice while watching the video again. Right? Now I'm saying open Eclipse and create new workspace. Second, how do we do that? Let's look at it. So go to File, go to New and say, oh no, switch workspace. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, I'll switch it to a new workspace. Switch workspace, other, and I will say a new name. SLT October. This was which date, team, that we started this? 16th, is it? 26th, correct? So I'll say SLT October 26, 2015. That is the name. And the path to that folder where all the files will get stored. And I'll say OK. Now Eclipse will restart and it will go take you to that workspace. It will be all blank. SLT underscore October 16, 2015. That is the October 26th name that we gave. Let's see if it's opened up. Okay, ignore this. This is only coming on my machine only because of the fact that sorry, I also use it for Android SDK, so that's the only reason. Now it says welcome to Eclipse. It has overview, tutorials, samples, what's new. Just letting you give you a scenario, team. Let's say you buy, for example, Okay, for example, I, how many of you use smartphones? A lot of us use smartphones, right? But do you remember maybe 7, 8 years back when people started switching from a basic click phone to a smartphone and understanding all this? They could not understand an iPhone overnight. It took them a lot of time. It took them a lot of time, team. So always remember that. Now, same thing with Eclipse. Why is it that it took time? Because of so many features. The basic feature we wanted was calling and texting. Then browsing came, then applications came, then games came, songs came. So each of these things will take time to evaluate. As of now, Eclipse is something similar. So if you're shifting from something which is very basic to Eclipse, you will be overwhelmed with the amount of features in it. Don't worry about it. Just go with the flow and close. So don't watch any tutorials or overview or samples. Just learn what is needed for now till that extent, and that's it. Okay. Now what we'll do is create a new Java project. That is the next step. So this is not SLT. Thank you for correcting me, team. It is SCL. That's the name. Create a new Java project. What will we call this Java project as? We'll call this as I'll say SLT, Selenium Live Training, October 2015 underscore project 2. And what is the name of this project? I'll say bank rate. Long name, but it is very relevant. It is easy for someone who looks at it and say that, oh yeah, this is bank rate application project 2. We can also say data driven framework. I'll say it here. Okay. Long name, but that's fine. The reason being that we have this out here. One second, team. And just click on finish, team. Once you click on finish, you have the basic project available right now. Now comes the next part, team. If you want to create anything, you will have to create a Java class. What is the name I gave? Properties. Let's copy this. See, team, what I'm trying to show you is going in a very organized fashion. Even if an expert had to create something, this is the approach that they should take. For a beginner like you, it is mandatory that you go step by step in a very organized fashion. Otherwise, it can become a challenge. Create a new Java class. So under the project, we're going to create a Java class. What is a Java class? It's not necessary for you right away, but as we go along, it will become easy to understand what a class will be. So right click on src or source folder and say new Java class. You see the class here? The class is referring to Java class itself and say okay. Now we'll say ddf prj2 underscore ddf underscore 1. This is the name that we're giving. Okay. So under this project, we've created a new Java class. Okay. Now what we'll do is create a new JUnit Annotations. Did I show you what JUnit Annotations were, team? When I migrated the code from IDE, Selenium IDE to Eclipse, did I show you what they are? Everyone, I want an answer from all of you, team. Please interact. When I ask a question, I am observing who's answering and who's not. That shows your level of attention. So please make sure you answer every question that I ask. Even if you're not aware, that is fine, but it is important for me to know. I will definitely tell again. No problem. The question was, did you learn to understand how we migrated from Selenium IDE to WebDriver? it is there in the videos from day 1 to day 15 for September 2015 training videos? That's my question as well. Is it there in that? So I should ask that. Is it there in that? Yes, it's there. So I will not repeat that. You should be able to go back, and mostly I think it will be day 5 or so, day 4 or 5. So please look at it. But I will give you the overview. Primarily, team, for JUnit, there is something called as annotations. The first thing you understand is that we will write something called as a comment. This is a comment. Anything that starts with 2 forward slashes is called a comment. A comment is like an English statement that Java ignores and does not process. At the end, I'm going to close this outline, team. I don't need it. What typically happens is that you write something, Java will say, hey, you know what, you wrote a Java code. Is it a Java code or is it an English statement? If it's an English statement or whatever language you can write, you just use 2 forward slashes. That way it knows that, hey, it has got nothing to do with Java. It's just a comment. This is important. Next comes the JUnit Annotations. And it starts with, one is at before, then at test, and at after. What are these? How do we work with this? I'll tell you. At before basically is a JUnit annotation that gets executed before any at test. And once I give you a trial of this, it will become very easy. The actual test itself will be here. What to do after running the at test. These are the 3 fundamental things. Now these are called as JUnit annotations. Is nothing but a simple way to give instruction to Java on what to run when. Okay, it is saying what it should run, when it should run it. That is the whole concept of annotations. That is the only message that this code will pass to Java. So run this first, run this next, run this after. That is the whole idea. Now to do this, I need something called as simple classes, public, simple methods in fact, void my before, open brackets, close brackets. Okay. Similarly, I'll copy this and I'll say this is my test. Next, I'll copy this and I'll say my after. These are my names that I'm giving. In this, there are 3 things that have come to. Now, when you do anything in Selenium IDE, you will notice that the same thing will happen here. Let's do a small one, just as a quick review. I take IDE, I put it in the recording mode, okay, just as a simple example. And let's say I go to something like, what should I open? I don't want to do bank rate, I'll do mortgage calculator.org, because bank rate we are anyway going to be working on, so I'll not touch that. So I have IDE here, and I have the browser here. Sorry, give me a second. Oops, not full minimize. Okay, IDE and browser. Now as I do some steps here, you will notice that the commands target values will get filled. 400,000, there you go. And let's say loan amount is 350,000, there you go. And I click on calculate. Just so many buttons. Okay. Now this is what script? It is a HTML code that is used for Selenium IDE. Now I can go under options and say format and change it to Java JUnit 4 WebDriver. This is what we're using. You have other options as well. You have Ruby, you have Python, you have C Sharp, and so on. But we're using this one. Once you learn one programming language team, to learn another one will be very easy. Now, when you say that, you will see all this code coming up. The reason I'm showing you this is not to overcomplicate things, but the fact that at before, at test, at after are out here. All right. Now, these things that we created right now, we are writing it ourselves. We're not using any IDE to do it. Sorry for the creaky sound, team. My chair has been a little squeaky this day. Now, for Java to understand JUnit, we need something called as jar files. All right. What is the concept? Java is a very huge programming language team. It is an open source. So a guy who's sitting in Russia is doing something innovative on Java. And he says, hey, you know what? I have created something new that makes Java talk with Android applications. Wow, that's great. Very well done. There is a guy who's sitting in, let's say, Indonesia saying that I'm looking for something like this, which talks to Android application. And he searches the web and says that, okay, this guy has made something. So this guy from Russia to send someone something to Indonesia, he will create something called as a archive resources, Java archive resources or jar files. It is like a package. Now, once the package is given to him, he will apply it to his own Java code, then Java will start understanding it. If it doesn't, then it will not. JUnit was similarly done by someone as a framework that will help for unit testing, and it was created as a jar file and kept as a package. So if the one in Indonesia wants to use JUnit, they need this. Even the one in Russia wants to use JUnit, they need this jar file. I sitting in US, Los Angeles, I need it, then I need this. So that jar file is very important. Now I have put some jar files together in the earlier class. I'm going to copy this entire thing and move it into our new folder called Cell October 26, 2015. Okay, I'm going to paste this here. In this jar files, I have all the ones, but do you know where to get the jar files for JUnit, everyone? Have you seen that from the earlier sessions? Very good. So I'm not going to go into that. You can watch the early sessions, but basically in the steps I'll write it. So the first class team, I'm going a little slow. I'm not going to really speed up things because I want everyone to catch up. Where is it? Okay. Create a new JUnit annotation. Associate the jar files for JUnit. What does this mean, team? As is, there is a red line here. The font size is too low, right? So let's try and increase it. I'm going to right click here. Go to one, show line numbers, so we know which line we're talking about. Right click again on the screen and say preferences, and I'll have text editors or no, colors and fonts. In this, edit the default font and just increase the size to, let's say, 14 or 18, so that way it's easy for you to see. Okay, this way it's good, right? At least it comes up bold. Now, at before, at test, at after are JUnit annotations. They belong to JUnit. So if JUnit jar file is not associate, it will not understand. That is why there is a red mark here. It says I don't understand. So how do we do it? To this project, you right click, go to properties, go to Java build path, go to libraries and say add external jars and get the in our folder where the jar files is there, get the JUnit latest jar file. This is the one. Okay, it should be .jar. If it is zip, you have to unzip it and get the jar file and say okay. Once I do that, now our Java code is ready to understand it, but we just have to say import it so that we can use it. So team, another 4 minutes to go for today's class. I don't want to really take a long one, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that you understand each and everything here. So what did we do, team? Associate the jar files with the Java class, Java project we associate it with. Then we import the necessary packages. It's a simple concept, team. It is like saying that you go to a library, you want to understand, let's say, something about astronomy, and let's say there are about 200 books on it. You'll not go and get 200 books at the same time, even the library won't allow you, and put it at your house. You'll only get what you need, 2 books at a time, 3 books at a time, read about it, return it, then get some more. So as needed, we will use it. That exact way, in this code of Eclipse, the J, if you look at the reference libraries here for JUnit and expand this, you will see there's so many things out here. All right, and each thing is a big thing by itself. Now, org.junit, under this itself, all the annotations are org.junit, after, before, uh, test, all of these are here, the different annotations. So instead of importing everything else that is there, only as we need, we will get it. So I took my mouse over at before and I said ignore. Sorry, import that. At after I said import, and these three have been imported. Now, how does it work? Very simple. This is at before. This is at test. Simple print statements, T. This is at after. And I'm going to save this. Make sure there's nothing wrong in this code. There are no red underlines anywhere. There are no red marks on the line number. There is one here because it does not understand what is JUnit. That's a comment, so you can definitely ignore it. And let's say we just do a quick run and run it as a JUnit test. Say okay. This is specific to my system, team, because I have both the launchers, Eclipse and Android. It may not come up for you, but that's a similar thing. And it says initialization error. What didn't I initialize? This is interesting. Let's see. Where? No class found. What is not found? Let me see. Line number. Oh, which is the one I'm running? I'm running this only, right? Yeah. Run. Again, I get this. Let's see. It is saying again about no class def found. Self-describing. This is. Did I miss something very basic? I don't think so. Huh. See, this simplest thing is that one, I have not thrown exception, but I think I should also provide the static. Let's look at the IDE. Where is IDE sitting? Not this. Out here. Throws exception not yet needed. This is the code here. Let's copy this whole code. For example, take it into a new code and just see why is this coming. Because a very simple code, it should work. Oops, not a package. Test code. Okay. and I'll put this entire thing here. Call this as test code. Take this off. But this has so many other things. I don't need this. I don't need any of this code. Just deleting all the things that I don't need, keeping it very lean. Just a basic JUnit code is what I'm retaining. Sorry. Actually, I don't even need any of these. Anyway, team, it's already 9:32. I will have to definitely end and take any questions that you have so far. But at the same time, I just wanted to make sure that this one thing I evaluate, and then we'll see. So same, I'll write this out here. Throws exception also is not essential. I'll just try and do a quick run. It's not the right print statements, but that's okay. Just to test. Again, the initialization error. So if I leave it as is, oops. Let me evaluate this. I'm just seeing if the same code as is, will it work? But then I have to add the other jar files also. That's the thing. Okay, let me do this. It'll be easy. Let me not skip the steps, team, about adding the other jar files. When we come back tomorrow, we'll fix this issue. I'm sure it's a very simple one. And it should not be a big thing. Yeah, the Hamcrest jar file maybe I have to import, but I don't want to assume it. I wanted to keep it just in case we evaluate it. Because team, for me, it's not about finding a solution. It is about how we get to that solution becomes very important. All right, that is something that I really want to teach everyone, not just this. So it's not used also, this one. JUnit jar is there. What else did I miss? That's it. Let's look at it tomorrow. All right, we're not in a hurry to really fix, because I want to really teach the approach of finding the solution, not this. What we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to open up Google. We'll go type this error. We'll identify what solution and how we fix issues. Because for me, it's all about how we get to fixing issues, team. It is not about just trying to understand what things are. When you're stuck, how do we come out of it? We will, when we come back tomorrow, team, we will talk about how we add the other jar files for Selenium WebDriver and so on, and we'll take our manual test case and convert it into the WebDriver code. All right. What is script? Script is basically nothing but the code. Whatever code we write, it is the same. We use the name script also for it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This is going to be very interesting. You'll enjoy this specific session on what we're doing with data-driven framework. It'll be very easy for you to understand. Once we do that, then we can really scale it to the next level. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye now. Thank you all. Bye.